when she was around 2 years old. She was not reaching her developmental milestones, and she had regressed in her language skills, as if she had forgotten how to speak. It was heartbreaking to see her struggle, and we didn't really know what was wrong. She would often wander off by herself and avoid social interactions. So my name is Richard Frankle. I'm not a pediatrician, although I went through a lot of their work when I was born. And I was actually born on the pavement, and I was born with a cleft palate. So there was one particular person I really took a dislike to, and that was a speech therapist. So they weren't seemingly in those days as friendly as they seem to be now. But she certainly, in those days, helped me to learn to talk properly, and I still battle to roll my R's. So obviously, I had a lot of experience with pediatricians and also occupational therapy. But the point is that these are wonderful people who are there to perform a specific function, I think, in our children's lives. And the one thing I've learned over my many years is that every single one of us is unique, and every single child is unique. And it doesn't matter with what challenge you may have been born with, you are still forming a big part of this great wide world, and you are an individual. A few years ago, 2 years ago exactly, we got involved. My company, Richard Frankle and Partners, we are a quantity surveying practice in Windhoek and also practice project management. And we got approached by a stepping stone school to assist in getting the development of their new school up and running. So in 2018, they were able to purchase an earth from the municipality of 𝗥𝗶𝗰𝗵𝗿, situated in Ocean View, right opposite the spa, or very close to the spa. And of course, they were full of enthusiasm to build a new school for the kids. In fact, a new developmental center, more than just a school. And of course, as we all know, we then got hit by COVID. And for a couple of years, everything really kind of stood still and didn't go as fast as everyone was hoping. In 2021, November, we got involved. I'm here to tell you that the school and the development of this school is turning slowly but surely into a reality. There's a little girl here, and I'm going to follow Doctor's start off by also issuing a disclaimer that this particular girl, Nana, is purely fictitious. It is a block photo, so it's not someone's daughter who we're using here. While she is fictitious, her story is real. So we've heard earlier this evening about the different numbers. We've taken, obviously, the World Health Organization's number here, and we talk about Nana being the 1 in 44. Possibly here in Namibia, we might be closer to 1 in 100, but be that as it may, within 𝗥𝗶𝗰𝗵, we saw the stats that there's a huge amount of children and possibly adults out there who have not been fortunate to be diagnosed and therefore get the necessary care that I see clearly is available here in town. Keep your focus on Nana. Nana's going to be around for a while. Nana's going to be our beacon of hope in getting this school built. And what I'm here to do today is to talk about collaborations, and talk about community, and talk about what are we going to do here in 𝗥𝗶𝗰𝗵 to get the school going. We obviously need funding. We need support. We need support from broad spectrum of sponsors. We're also looking at partnering with our friends from the municipality where they can help. But I'm also looking at each and every one of us here in the audience to join us in our partnership, however big or small. Let's tackle this school one bite at a time. For every dollar we get, and I've taken a few photos because I love that photo from the occupational therapist of a house with a roof and a whole lot of bricks and foundations. And we can start selling off those bricks for $1 or $2 or $1,000. And I'm telling you now, we will get our 10 million. That I pledged the school about a year ago. I said, we will get the school built. And I continue to live by that pledge. So yes, you have to be the bravest person in the world to go out every day being yourself when no one really understands who you are. So there's another disclaimer. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not an OT. I'm not a speech therapist at all. So if I quote or I say things that are not quite medically correct, please do not hand me. Kindly come up and correct me afterwards. Not in front of everybody, please. It might be embarrassing. But no, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm here to project manage a school. I guess we all kind of have this corporate social responsibility program that we should be doing in one or two small ways. It doesn't have to be like the big corporates at all. It can be in a small way, but you can contribute. We saw earlier, the school has a waiting list of, I think it's 19 kids. That is the I Need program, where you can sponsor the school fees of a child as opposed to sponsoring the building. The challenge of that is that currently the premises that the school is in, those premises are being rented out at the moment, and although the landlord is really accommodating, their needs also change from year to year. Every year the classrooms need to move around a bit. We hear about the children loving routine, children loving to know where they are, and they have this disruption. So it's not ideal either. So we want to get our own premises. We want to get premises where the kids can get into that routine as theirs. They can feel at home. They can feel part of it. So I think it can only do them the world of good. So we get back to our girl, Nana. There is that disclaimer in there. She personally is fictional, but her story is not. So Nana lives with autism syndrome disorder, ASD, and it's really kind of typical to what we heard this evening from the experts, is that from her mom's side, I first noticed that Nana was different when she was around 2 years old. She was not reaching her developmental milestones, and she had regressed in her language skills, as if she had forgotten how to speak. It was heartbreaking to see her struggle, and we didn't really know what was wrong. Over time, it became evident that Nana had difficulty communicating and socializing with other children. She would often wander off by herself and avoid social interactions. It was challenging to get her the help she needed, as the teachers in her mainstream school struggled to teach and interact with her. And eventually, we were asked to remove her from a school. And I think that's a story that possibly some of you can identify with, but I'm very sure that there's a lot of parents who can identify with that. We've heard how the numbers of cases are rising, and the number of those who are having to leave school is also on the up. And we can't just leave it. We can't just think it will get better or it will go away, because it's not going to go away. We hear that it can, in fact, be getting worse. And folks, from what I've seen at the school, there is so much that can be done for these kids. And so they need to be given that chance. They need to be given that opportunity. Those 19 on the waiting list need to find a home in the school. The others that we haven't found yet, we need to find. And we need to get them the opportunities that they desperately need. We can all be part of this challenge of actually making history here, right here in 𝗥𝗶𝗰𝗵. We've heard about the school, we've heard about the great work that almarie and her teachers are doing. And now's the opportunity to become part of what I believe will be a fantastic legacy in 𝗥𝗶𝗰𝗵. And it's great, it's really, really fantastic to see the pediatricians, the OTs, the speech therapists who are here in your community. And I believe as a team, as we collaborate further, we're just going to improve the opportunities for these children. We're going to reap the rewards of it. We're going to harvest the rewards of what we put in India. That's what we're doing. That's why we are marketing a new school. That is why we are working with sponsors. That's why we are calling on the community to take our hands. Stepping Stone School, about the school, we've got a slide coming up showing where our site is. Our site is in, as I mentioned, in Ocean View. It's been bought, paid for. There's not 1 cent owed on that site, I believe. I don't believe we owe the municipality too much rates and taxes. Hopefully not. But the site is ours. And please excuse me when I say ours, it's because I've kind of become part of the team. So what's yours is mine. So I take ownership of that. And so, yes, so we've got that site. We've got the building plans. We know that the Stepping Stone School is a preschool and primary school for children with both autism and some other learning difficulties. The school is divided, we've heard earlier, into the two streams, complex needs and learning support. And what's important here is that they have 44 learners currently enrolled between the ages of 3 and 16. They are growing and they're full to the brim right now, so they need to go somewhere. We empower our learners to reach their full potential and become valued, independent, participating members of society. Isn't that a wonderful mission, vision to have? So how does the school going to look? So there's a snapshot of phase one. Phase one, the 10 million we're talking about, is going to consist of 4 classroom blocks. Each block has 3 classrooms in it. The 4 blocks will be able to handle 120 kids. So it's a huge improvement from the 44 we've got. It's basically, if my mathematics is semi-right as a quantity surveyor, it's about 3 times with a little bit of change. But that's a huge impact. And that will be theirs, it will be their own. The money that they're currently paying on rental will go into either a loan or can be used for other resources. The vision is really to have this fantastic environment for these kids where they feel safe, where they feel at home, where they can express themselves in their own way. Each of the blocks, apart from the 3 classrooms, has what they refer to as the quiet room. So the quiet room might actually be the opposite of what it says. So for when those children have their meltdowns, there's a place for them to vent a little bit. Each block will be a unit on its own, with its own ablution facilities. There we see that the block A will be for the 2 to 4 year olds, block B the 8 to 10 year olds, and then there's a block C for the older ones, and then we've got block D. So we've got the 4 blocks. That whole complex will then be surrounded by a boundary wall, and there'll be playground for the kids and parking facilities. Phase 1, as I mentioned earlier, is what we're looking at right now as your initial investment. And there are plans to move on to phase 2 in the future and phase 3. I think what's important when we look at the development of the school as a whole is vocational training. I believe there's a big need for creating facilities for these children where they progress after, sort of out of school into an area where they can learn some kind of a skill, whatever that may be, that can be used and that can make them feel worthy. And I believe in this country there's a huge lack of that. And I believe there are plenty of things that these children can be trained and educated to do that will make them really worthy members of society and make them feel really important. So I'm advocating this vocational training, and I'm sure the experts will be able to give a lot of input on that. And mark my words, I think when we really get to the nitty-gritties of these schools, the experts must help us in terms of certain of the design elements. I'm not talking necessarily the buildings themselves, but what goes into those buildings and what works and what doesn't work. Again, I'm talking about collaboration, I'm talking about working together, I'm talking about creating the center that can really, really make a difference. So in summary, it's really straightforward. Every child deserves an education. And that's why Namibia Facilities Management, as the project managers, have responded and will continue to respond until we've got the job done. So through our fundraising efforts, we are looking at a CSR program. We have started to approach corporates. I believe bit by bit, we're going to get this school built. We've got a couple of proposals that people can take part in. The one is where you can contribute to building the boundary wall. I believe on that boundary wall, there'll be plenty of space for recognition. And I think there are going to be many companies and individuals who are going to feel they want to be part of this and actually would love to see their name up on that wall. I contributed to the school. So we're pushing this program. My marketing guys, and I've got Yasmin, they'll get going on social media and social media platforms, and there'll be all kinds of funny hashtags and all these things that I don't understand, but hopefully you youngsters can. And the oldies will just go by the old way of filling in a form and sending it off. But yes, so that's the one possibility. The other possibility is for corporates to fund a single classroom. So one of those classrooms in the block, you could get a corporate who may actually take a classroom themselves and fund the construction of that. And of course, the diamond sponsorship, if you want to call it that, would be for a corporate to fund and sponsor an entire block. So that boundary wall to enclose our school in is going to cost a total of 395,000 Namibia dollars. We can sell meters of that. If you want to buy a meter of boundary wall, you come and talk to us. A single classroom is costing $535,000. If you tell me now you can only afford 2 bricks, that's also cool. You can choose where you want to put the bricks. I suggest we start at the bottom, but any little bit helps. And of course, if you really want to dedicate your entire pediatric practice and all you've earned for the past 5 years, you can in fact sponsor an entire classroom block of 3 classrooms for 1.6 million. And it can be named after you, and we can refer all the patients to you. But no, jokes aside, I had to pick on someone, and of course, I love to pick on doctors. That's what it's about. It's about eating an elephant bit by bit. Here's a couple of testimonies. After a 3-year wait, he finally started at Stepping Stone School. And that's the story about Jerome. I see so much joy from the children in their hearts, the commitment from the teachers. They are long for success. And I challenge you to join us on this amazing journey. Let's build the school. I think this actually just says it all. Thank you for helping me grow. And I'll leave that with you. Thank you very much for your attention.